Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Glazed Game Gestures. And before I begin, I'd like to thank those who I forgot, as well as mention that those I'm going to forget, I will mention you hopefully in a later video. Angry Video Game Nerd, Cinemasker Crew, Mike Matai, James Rolfe, as well as the Horror Geek for discussing old, goofy horror films and brief video games with me. Now, before I continue the Nintendo trend as well as a progressing line of video game systems, I'd like to stick with the 16-bit. So let's talk about the Sega Genesis today. Now, I have here the Sega Genesis Model 1. I picked this thing up recently for 20 bucks. It came with 2 controllers, Super Smash TV, Sonic 1, Sonic 3, Sonic Spinball, Columns, and Aladdin. I already had a copy of Aladdin, but hell, if you want to give that all to me with CIB complete in box, let's go. For 20 bucks, yeah, I'll take that. Now, the Sega Genesis Model 1, I think it's a much cooler design comparative to 2 and 3. That's cool that, you know, Sega of America and Sega of Japan and so forth decided to branch out and continue to make different models of their consoles to appeal to a different mass of a demographic is a really cool concept, but my favorite one personally, I believe, is the 1. I'm glad that I picked this up because I've always kind of had the 2 for at least the past couple years. And same thing, I think I picked the Model 2 up at a Goodwill for like 20 bucks. I'll get into that in a minute. But the Sega Genesis Model 1, I like the game flap on the top. I like the color red. The cool concept of it, it's nice that they didn't do just everything black so you can actually see the reset button. The volume is really cool. Yeah, you gotta have the volume all the way up to 10, whether I have the headphones in or not. You just have to. It's the rules. The ventilation on the side, I like the weight. It's really light, I feel like, compared to like, you know, TurboGrafx 16 and Nintendo and anything else generational around that time. It's a nice weight, and I think it has that like futuristic as well as modern look for the time. It's very fitting. I like the pins right here where the controllers go in. The bottom is really easy. It's simplistic to read. You know, I mean, there's no issues here. The only thing is, I've noticed that there's no date here compared to the Nintendo products. I like the Nintendo rubber bottoms compared to the plastic here. I feel like if these are misplaced poorly, it could just snap the plastic little tiny leg on the bottom. And I like that the Nintendos have the AV, you know, multi-out comparative to just the RF cable here. Granted, yeah, it works. It's just a little more of a process to try and get it to work on the TV rather than turning your TV to AV. Really, really cool design. It's just, I really enjoy how it looks. And I like that they even, you know, showcase the fact it's 16-bit, so if you're playing 8-bit, you're wrong, pretty much, you know. That was Sega. Alright, that's the Model 1. Let me get the Model 2. Model 2, yeah, it's smaller, it's a little more sleek, I get that, but I don't feel like it has that pizzazz, you know? Like, there's no red, it doesn't have the Genesis and, like, that, like, kind of grayish white outline. It just says Genesis. I mean, I'm not trying to make it sound morbid or pessimistic whatsoever. It's still a great console. And I like that now, and that I've noticed the bottom, that they added that little rubber piece on the bottom. I think they realized, oh snap, we need to have rubber to, you know, hold it, whether it be on a table or a TV entertainment center at the time. It's still the same gate for the cartridge, which is nice. The buttons, yeah, they're a little smaller and they're kind of more into the system rather than it being a slide device or a white button. But it's kind of almost unnoticeable, like the fact that it's just in the system. I mean, it still works, obviously. I've tested it. They both work. I still play them occasionally. I got a Donald Duck's Quack Shot and Cheeky Cheeky Boys, Rocket Knight Adventure, Sonic 1, 2, 3, Sonic Spinball, Super Smash TV without the case, Aladdin, 2 Aladdins, like I said, Columns, Super Street Fighter 2. Actually, let me just look what else I got. Gargoyles, that's a great game too. I haven't beaten that one yet. Animaniacs, which actually came with this one when I went to Goodwill. It was Animaniacs and I think my first copy of Aladdin. And it was 20 bucks, all the cables and controllers. I was blown away. Why is Sega so cheap? Anyway, Well, it depends on the game, of course. If you want Crusader of Senti, the original, it's like $300, $400. So have fun with that. Or also known as Soleil in Europe. The vent ports on the back, it doesn't look like it actually goes into the console. It's more or less like an aesthetic or a cosmetic kind of look. I mean, it's still cool though. They kind of tried to mimic the Sega Genesis Model 1, how it has it on the side, but it's on the back here. It's easy to read on the bottom. It's light. There's really next to no ventilation, it looks like. Yeah, there's ports on the bottom, but it doesn't look like you can see into the motherboard of the microchips. It's like an aluminum inside. I haven't really delved into this and opened it up. Like I've said before, I'll only do it if I really have to. If I don't have to, I'm not doing it. I don't want to mess with this thing. But, you know, it's cool that they both have, obviously, the attachments for the Sega CD and the Sega 32X and, like, the Sonic and Knuckles adapter, which I don't have any of that. I intend to eventually. I just, you know, it gets up there in price after a while. But great consoles. Here's the original Sega Genesis controller that I have. It's really cool that I like that the B button has a little bump, so you kind of know where you're at if you feel that. They click well. That boomerang feel is kind of nice. You know, I mean, I'm not trying to sound like, but I mean, I just like how the Nintendo and Super Nintendo controllers feel, which I think that they tried to imitate, per se, the top curvature here, because it kind of almost has that curve where like a LNR should have been. And I know that they have those, 6-button controllers, kind of similar to like a Sega Saturn, and they have the 8-button controller and whatnot. But I do like their idea of the D-pad, how it has these arrows on the outer rim of the circle here, and then on the inner circumference they have the also the little tiny plastic notch here. You know, so you know where your diagonals are. Yeah, it feels good. It feels relatively good. I just don't think it works as well as it should, per se. Maybe it's just my older controller. I have 2 or 3 other ones that look exactly the same. I just managed to grab this one. And then let's go on to the makeshift Sega console. The At Games. I have the box and I have everything. Not too much to say. I know it's a piece of crap system. It does what it does. This is what I had a couple years before I got these other ones. And I mean, I think I got it actually at Bed Bath & Beyond for like $17 with coupons. So, you know, I can't complain. I kept the box because I was like, oh, this is cool, whatever. It is kind of nice that it has the front pin so you can put your original Sega Genesis controllers in there, which is probably what you're going to want to do because the controllers they give you are pretty shitty. Yeah, they're not very good. They're very light. It's like worse than third party. They're like fourth party controllers, if that's even a thing. Yeah, it's cool how small they are. It's cool how responsive the D-pad works. It has that fighter pad look to it, per se, but it's not very good. It's not. The only reason I got it was, oh, there's like 70, 80 games emulated in here, but if I, you know, don't want to play those and I want to use the cartridge port, I can. It works. And another thing that I do relatively like is it has the AV cables. It's much easier to use than the RF, you know, because the RF after a while sometimes just wants to give me trouble on my TV for some reason. Maybe I'm just unaware of how to use it properly, I'm not sure, but by all means, if anybody wants to fix that situation, tell me in the comments, please do. I love my Sega Genesis Mini. I think that they did it right. Don't get me wrong, I love the interface with the SNES Mini and the NES Mini. Those are both wonderful pieces of artwork that, you know, you can play with day in and day out, pick up and play with save states. I love the fact that they all three have save states, because sometimes you just want to play a little bit and then you got to get up and go do something, and then you can plug it back in when you're able to play again. I like how they cosmetically went with the original look. They even have a cartridge flap, which granted, yeah, it does nothing, but they stayed true to the fans of Sega, that they know that, you know, people want to see that, and they even have the adapter on the bottom, you know, so that slides out for the Sega CD and so forth. It's just super cool. They have the volume control, even though it does absolutely nothing. There's no port, you know. The reset button looks the same. It all looks the same. It feels the same, obviously, except for the weight and the design. Now, size comparison. My like, look at this. I mean, it's essentially the same thing, but obviously like fifth or 5 to 10% the size, you know. But now I have the Genesis Mini controller here. It's essentially the same thing. It's obviously cleaner and newer because it's a newer console compared to the original. That's not HDMI. The start button's the same. A, B, and C essentially the same, but they have the red there, which I kind of like. That, you know, it kind of points to, you can actually visually see which button you're pushing rather than just knowing off the top of your head, you know, left or right is ABC. And then they even did that to the D-pad as well. I really like this controller compared to the original because you can actually visually, I feel like, see. I mean, then again, how often do you really look at the TV and you're like, oh, what button? You know, you should already know what button you're pushing. You should, anyway, theoretically. I had the True Blue Flasher Mini just so I can hack this thing. It works, but it was missing a couple games that I wanted to play, and I discovered how to hack this thing properly. I have Game Gear on there, Master System, some Sega CD, all of the Genesis games that I want to play. You know, yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, Game Gear, Master System, Sega Genesis games, obviously, Sega CD. I think that's it, yeah. Including PAL region as well as Japanese games, and it functions well. I really love the interface that's on there. I like the idea that you can hold start. You don't have to, you know, get up and press reset to stop it to do a save state or reset the system, mind you. The Genesis has some great shooters, some really cool action platformers. It's a great mini console. I'm glad that I was able to hack this thing, and it works well. And I like that Sega also, you know, nodded to the fact that their fans wanted the mini, you know, Tower of Power. They had the Sega CD, and then they have the little attachment and all that. It's from Japan. It's like, I think like $100, the Mega Drive box Tower of Power. I intend to get it eventually, just I don't have it at the moment. It's more or less a cosmetic thing. It's not a necessity. It doesn't do anything different to the system. It just looks pretty rad. I really, really like my excuse me, my Retrobit Genesis controller. This thing is pretty rad. It's similar per se to the NES and the SNES controller, but the fact that you can charge this one compared to just putting batteries in it all the time, and it comes in a super cool case. It also has the option to, you can plug it into the original Sega Genesis 1 and 2 as well as into the Mini. And this is all nice and velvet. It has 8 buttons, like I mentioned earlier. It has the L and the R. The D-pad feels similar to the AT games, but it's like a cross between that and then the original controller. X, Y, and Z feel good. A and B feels good. It's slightly larger than the AT games controller, and in between the Genesis Mini controller, and it feels right. It lets you know when it's on. Obviously, there's a blinking LED light up there. The select and start and the home buttons all feel good. It's placed right. It's a really cool boomerang looking controller. I love how it plays and how it feels. The Sega Genesis is a great system, and you know, I mean, then again, so was the Nintendo as well as the Super Nintendo. I hope to continue to you know, convey more ideas of video games to those who care to listen and want to learn more. So thank you for your support. Here's to humble beginnings. I'm still learning the whole camera aspect of editing and showing you guys what I know. So I appreciate the support, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you. Have a good day.